Author of the best-selling Mozart in the Jungle, Sex, Drugs, and Classical Music, Blair Tindall created her Flair for Genius program for corporate seminars, college students, and career changers. A Grammy-nominated musician turned writer and television personality, Blair has performed at Carnegie Hall and on Broadway, and now delights audiences on NPR, CNN, Fox News, and in her Los Angeles one-woman show, Symphony for the Devil.
Greetings, thank you all for coming today. You know, I was at the farmer's market this weekend. It was a beautiful sunny day, a lot like it is today. And I saw a mom there shopping. She had a little boy about this big with her. And he had a little toy airplane. He was zooming it around. He was having a wonderful time and babbling on about rockets and cartoon characters and monsters. And I thought, wow, give me some of that. I'd love to get back to that place where I was doing and feeling the things that I really loved and was interested in. But at one point, the kid zoomed into a table of peaches and all the fruit came tumbling off. And the mom had had enough. I don't blame her. She said, "Ricky," and just gave him the look. I think we all know what the look is. And Ricky fell silent and downcast, and the moment was gone. Mom hadn't meant any harm. Of course she had to do that. But I think we can all relate to Ricky in that we were doing something at some point that was us, and somebody told us that us was wrong. So if Ricky had been able to progress and just throughout his whole life explore these things that he loved, explore these things that he was so good at, Ricky would have grown up and perhaps become a cartoon animator for Disney, or maybe he would be designing satellites for NASA. In any case, he might have found this unique flair for genius that sets him apart from everyone else, that makes his life really, truly resonate. But it's more likely that little Ricky is going to end up getting farther and farther and farther away from himself until he might feel trapped in a job that's just not him. And yet he has this nagging feeling inside that there's something he was born to be and to do. Now, I can relate a little bit to how Ricky might have felt. You see, I was a professional classical musician in New York City for many years. I was very successful. I played in the New York Philharmonic at Carnegie Hall. I recorded film soundtracks like Spike Lee's Malcolm X. I was very successful, but I wasn't a star, and I was never going to be at the tippy top. Why wasn't I a star? Because I hadn't really chosen this music profession. In some ways, it chose me. My parents gave me lessons, and I was good at it, and I progressed. And it wasn't until 10 years into my professional career that I realized there's so much more I can do. But how do I get there? How do I get there? It's too late, I thought. I'm too old to make a change. But I couldn't shake that feeling. And I think a lot of us have the same feeling. I can tell from the looks on your faces. And I just want to talk to you today about some ways you can take on to find your own flair for genius. I think we've all seen how easy it is to end up living somebody else's dream. But not everyone gets off track. Think of people like Steven Spielberg. Think of Madonna. Think of Oprah Winfrey. These are people who knew and believed in their unique genius, probably from childhood on, and they focus on it every single day. But these are famous people. What about the rest of us? Well, I want to tell you about my friend Ellie. She was a divorced, middle-aged mom. She had a job to support herself, shelving books in this small-town university library where I grew up. Yet Ellie knew there was something she wanted to do. She wanted to right injustices. She wanted to be a public servant. So in her late 50s, Ellie enrolled in law school. She graduated about the time she turned 60. Everyone laughed. Who would hire somebody that age? Guess who the mayor was 1 year later? Ellie. Ellie is 74 now, and she is running for her 7th term as state senator. Wow. Ellie made the change, but why did it take her so long? Why did it take me so long? I just couldn't find the tools. My life is different from any of your lives. I had to figure it out for myself. I did aptitude testing, I did career counseling, I joined online groups. I really tried everything, and it was 5 years later that I ended up enrolling in journalism school. And once I was there, my life just unfolded, and it felt like what I was doing every day was who I really, really, truly was. And today, I still play the oboe. It's hard to not be a musician after a lifetime of doing it. but I also write for several international publications. I had a piece in the London Guardian a few days ago. I wrote a book that's been published in 5 countries called Mozart in the Jungle, Sex, Drugs, and Classical Music. And the most exciting thing of all to me is that I'm creating a television travel show that goes all over the world and explores cultures through ethnic music and dance. Now, why did it take me so long to get started? I wish I'd started the second I had the idea, but I was afraid I was going to look silly. And I want to assure every one of you and urge every one of you that it's so important to start right now and not someday, not next year, not after lunch, not even after intermission. We're going to do a little exercise in a few minutes to start right now. But I think standing here right now, I'm a good advertisement for starting, even if you're not perfect. I'm a grown-up lady standing in front of this dignified audience in a business suit, and I am wearing braces on my teeth like a teenager. I feel like a goofball. I probably look like a goofball. But I think that this message, and the message you have to bring to me as well, is so important that I don't care. So we've spent the last 15 minutes, I've asked you to come up with 3 different lists. The first list is all the things that you have passions for, your Ricky's rocket ships, the things that you love to do, that you gravitate towards. The third list I asked you to do was your talents, the things you're innately good at. For me, that's music, that's writing, that's maybe not so much math. And then in the middle, I wanted you to come up with 3 dream careers, just 3 things that would use something from column A and something from column B. So you've got all of these things now, but how do you make these things into a life, as I have done? Because my life is not like yours or like Ricky's or like Ellie's or like the guys next to you. It's totally different. And that's why I've come up with a method through my search and my journey. I call this method the APT approach. That's A-P-T. And just so you understand, the A stands for affinities. Those are the things that you really love to do. Those are your interests. And then in the middle of the sandwich, you've got the meat, which is the P, or the plan, the thing that's going to bring about this reality when these 2 things intersect. And then there's the T. The T is your talents, your innate gifts, your aptitudes, the things that you were born being able to do. So let me give you an example from my own life. When I was a little girl, I loved ballet. I wanted to be a ballerina, but it kind of didn't work out that way. As an adult, I still have an affinity for ballet. Now, do I have the talent for ballet? I think I passed the age of admission about, well, a few years ago, and I might be a little bit too big for a tutu. So these 2 things, they don't intersect. But let's go back, let's try it again. I love ballet. I can write. So for a year, I worked at a Northern California newspaper reviewing ballet and modern dance. I got to go to all the opening nights of the San Francisco Ballet, and I had a wonderful time doing all of that. So how do you take these dreams, though, into the reality? And that's where we're going to pick up right now. We're going to take these exercises that you did, and I want you to look at your list in your handout, and those 3 dream careers, just pick one. Maybe cover your eyes and just pick one. It can be the craziest thing in the world. In any case, once you've done that, I want you to imagine you're like an actor getting into character. I remember when I played Miss Saigon on Broadway, I looked up from the pit as we were rehearsing right before opening night, and I saw Jonathan Pryce, the star of the show, on stage by himself in his own space. I have no idea what he was doing, but he was in profile and he was holding an imaginary object. So he was probably pretending like he was smelling what was around him and seeing and hearing what he did on a daily basis, what he was wearing. And I want you to do that. Like, imagine you're going to be a star chef with this fabulous cookbook that's being reviewed everywhere in a new restaurant on Park Avenue. You're being interviewed by Matt Lauer on the Today Show. What are you wearing? What are you saying? And I want to see in all your bodies the confidence that comes from the success after you're truly passionate about what you do and it resonates with your own flair for genius. So I want everybody to choose a partner, and let's get started right now.